MAME phase.
It would be easy to do a spooky season video highlighting the popular Halloween arcade game choices, the likes of Night Slashers, Death Smiles, Zombie Raid, Chiller, Nightmare in the Dark, or even Ghosts and Goblins. It can't be denied there's a decent sized list of overtly horror themed games to choose from, and if you wanted to build your own arcade in a haunted house attraction, you could at least fill a room. I may do a video just looking at those popular choices, but for now I'd like to take the time to look at 10 other games with elements fitting to the time of year. Not all of these will be horror games, but there will be plenty of occult content, creepy crawlies, skulls, and more skulls, as well as a bit of blood thrown in for good measure. I'm going to start with maybe the most traditional entry in this list, which is a 1985 game from Technos Japan, and one that I believe was never ported from the arcades. That game is Bogey Manor, which has the lovely 8-letter set name in MAME of Bogey Man. So let's fire it up. And here we go. Boot straight to the title screen. No long ROM checks. So there you go. A nice gooey, bogey on your title screen for Bogey Manor. Nothing to do with golf. See, it could have made maybe some track sound. It's a little quiet here for a horror game, but there you've got the actual, you've got the music and the demo intro, just nothing for the initial logo. You can see this is a game set in a haunted house, or I'd assume set in Bogey Manor. You see, it shows you a bit about what you can do. You've got these ghosts pursuing you, you can flip the platforms, and you can smash these crystal balls. Now, I will shortly be inserting a credit, but I'd like to let the attract modes run on these for a little bit first, just so you can get an idea of really what you're meant to do before you start playing. That is why these attract modes exist, really, to try and sell the game to you. So there we go. So I'm guessing this is telling you all about the possible power-ups you can get in the game. Laser gun. There we go. So, you see now, apparently you can jump around if you've got that power. We'll see how far I get in a moment. But, let's credit up now. Coin it up. No title logo when you coin it up, just the background. Interesting. So, we've got a sword button and we've got a poke button. You can poke the ghosts, you can't attack them with your sword. That was a good start. The collision boxes are quite large. I did find this the other times I've tried to play this one. So yes, you have to be fairly well clear of the ghosts before you try and go up or down any stairs, otherwise they will get you. Now, silly little dance you can do there. And you've got the compass at the top, which has the 4 sides to it. I think the maze is basically 4 screens wide as you walk around the top there, going from left to right. You see, there's nothing doing this. Oh yeah, flip that goes into the ceiling. Now we can smash a crystal ball here. Where are we going? Let's keep going. Smash one up here. Flip that for the sake of it. So, I do notice there's a bit of flicker when the screens load in, but I've seen real PCB footage and it looks kind of similar there, so I don't think that's a main thing. I was getting greedy and going for the ring, wasn't I? I think it does remember what you've already smashed. I'm not sure how you... Oh, that's how you get on the doors. There we go. And they will take you somewhere else. That was a little cheap, I have to say. Well, we'll have another go. Play House 1 again. But yeah, I think I just walked onto the screen and there was a ghost already there. That really shouldn't happen. Now, I'm surprised this game doesn't get mentioned more often. Because I think this, as I say, this is probably the most obvious Halloweeny, spooky one on this list, and it's Technos. Technos have done quite a few very well-known games, but this one, you do see it mentioned now and again, but nowhere near as much as any of their other titles. So, and I don't know why. To me, this holds up just as well as anything they did, but maybe that's just because I kind of like this simple style old arcade game. There we go, we get the ring and suddenly the lights on. Why is the door flashing? I'm not too familiar with this one myself, but it's flashing because it wants to flash? I don't know. Oh. So I've smashed the last crystal ball, and now the house has started to fall down. It appears the doors vanish when this happens. You can see it's falling from the top. Gradually the layers are disappearing. And I guess you have to get out of there as quickly as possible. So house 2. A bit of a different background now. There's always a painting in one of the rooms, or maybe more than one. In this case, seems to be on several of the top floor rooms. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's the equivalent of the ghost on this level. Then you can't slash the Frankenstein's monster. You have to probably give him a poke. I will remember that. It's not the creepiest music, unfortunately. I think a better soundtrack may have helped. I can do that too, look. I'm not going to be able to go that way, am I? There we go, yeah, I can spin him, poke him, and then slash him down afterwards. So it really is just a case of finding all of these. I don't know really how the power-up system works. And it is advertised in the attract mode, but I thought that might be what the white door was for. Well, again, I've been killed by something I couldn't see. I'll continue. I can select house 1 or 2 when continuing. For some reason, house 1 even after continue is the default option. It's a little unusual. I don't know how well distributed this game was, but based on not that many people seem to know about it, maybe it was one of those that just didn't see its way into many arcades. And it didn't seem to get any ports that I'm aware of, so a lot of people wouldn't know it from a home port. And a lot of people's memories of these games are from when they played them on home systems. So any game that got no ports, people often don't remember as well, even if the ports were dreadful, that the name is in their head. They remember. You can poke those things from a long way away. Now I do notice sometimes the compass flashes. I'm assuming that is also significant. Maybe when the enemies are spawning. There we go. I've got that. Where am I going? The last ball, I think, here. Then. Let's get out of here. There we go. House 3. We're back to the ghosts. And we've got a more spooky tune this time. And we've got witches. Oh, there we go. So the flashing door does seem to be power related. Maybe I just went in it too late last time. So now what can we do? We can jump up and down levels and well, this powered up state. I don't know how long the power lasts. We'll probably find that out shortly when I inevitably die again. Yeah, I've also got that, which I don't know what does. Oh, okay, it makes a mini-me that does things. You can't run under those either. So it gets a lot more intense now with these witches going around. Oh, my power's run out now, so it's a time thing. It's on a timer. Oh, trying to use the wrong weapon against the ghosts. Now, I do need to find that, I'm assuming there's probably one or two of these crystal balls left, but when you're being pressured by all these enemies, it's much more difficult to remember where you've been. And the whole, the whole fog, basically, that you've got where you can't see what's on the other floors, means you have to remember what was there too. And I noticed that ghost turned blue. So I can select House 3 now I've been there. That ghost turned blue, which seemed to prevent me from poking them again. But yeah, you can use that. It looks like a poke, but it seems to stun them from a long distance. So I don't really know what it is. Not pokes in your traditional 8-bit computer cheat sense. But yeah, it'll stun anything on the same floor. So you don't even have to get that close. Let's just go through. No, that's not. That's... Oh, there we go. Oh, another one here too. So which floor have I missed? Oh, there's one more here. Ow. Let's go back to the top floor. Yep, there we go. There's one up here. There's the ring. Oh, don't do that. Now, where's the last one? Oh, I could go down there for the power. Probably too late. The last one still, and I don't know, there's two more. One up there and one down the bottom. Where can we get up there? Oh, and the timer was screaming at me. Got some nice little touches here. It is a little rough around the edges. Okay, does this level reset? No, it's not completely reset. Oh. Wrong. Yeah. I'm not aware of how many houses this game has, or if the themes start to loop. It is an 85 game, so it's quite early on. The industry changed a lot in the late 80s. I mean, a few years later you're getting, say, your CPS games. But, 3 years was a long time. What floor do we want to be on? Is it? Yeah, I don't like this whole spawn kill thing, because you have no way to predict that, but that's maybe the only thing that I'm finding really poorly designed in the game, and maybe I'm just missing some way of knowing when they're going to spawn there. It might be down to me. But yeah, that is the first selection for this video. Bogey Manor. It seems to get overlooked. It's a lot of fun. It fits the Halloween theme. It's not too creepy. I think it's actually fairly family friendly, that one. So again, I didn't want to go necessarily horror with these because it's a bit too easy to go with the bloodiest, most horrific looking games like Chiller and say this is Halloween. But you've got fairly cute ones like this that still fit the theme and are good fun. And speaking of fairly cute, I think our second game will also be one that's more cute than scary. And this is one that has had work done on it in MAME recently. This is Bubble Trouble, Golly Ghost 2 by Namco, where the artwork display was hooked up over the, I think it was over this year, maybe, it could have been last year, but I think it was this year. It's the sequel to Golly Ghost, which was one of the games with the dollhouse background and opening doors and things like that. So it had a physical dollhouse, and then this video overlaid on to show the ghost coming out of everything. And this was kind of, well, this was the sequel, but it's set underwater, and instead of a dollhouse, it's got all these treasure chests and everything like that. And previously, the artwork triggers weren't hooked up for it, so it just ran with a black background. Now there is a good piece of artwork for it, and the triggers are hooked up properly, so you can play the game pretty much as it was intended. Obviously, it's not a full 3D scene. It doesn't quite have the same look as the real machine, but it is fully functional with moving background elements. On the real one, yeah, the movement will be smoother because, again, that pirate ship there would be a real object that's moving around, and in MAME it is just a couple of frames of animation, a PNG file that is a few PNG files, but you get the idea. So it's a gun shooter, not a real light gun obviously, but one of those analog joystick style ones, and you're shooting all these ghostly things that come out the chests. They're a little bit hard to see, but you can tell they're ghosts because they're translucent, like all ghosts apparently are. But you do have to concentrate because they're not the clearest, but the wavy background effect, that is also part of the game display. So if you were to try and make it less translucent, then that would just wipe out the background. So it's obviously not meant to be too strong of an effect. But, you've got your counters in the top again. That's from the MAME's artwork system. There's a little score display on the cabinet. Very, very rare you'll see one of these days in the wild. I guess they cost a lot to maintain, like many of these ones that have mechanical elements. But yes, one of those impressive Namco games from back in the day. I think this may be slightly easier than Golly Ghost, but again, that's a matter of opinion. Yes, it does feel appropriately creepy. And I wanted to play this one, say, to show that there is now a good piece of artwork out there for it, and it vastly improves the experience over how it looked a few years ago in MAME. It wasn't really one I'd want to stream then. One thing to keep in mind though is if you're playing this one, you do have to turn off BGFX because for some reason the artwork does not play nice with it. So I'm using the HLSL instead in Direct 3D mode. I don't know why that is. It's always been an issue with certain machines in BGFX mode. I think the Laserdisc ones are similar. So if you run this and you can't see all the elements, even though you have the artwork, like maybe the text isn't displaying, just check the video mode. rid of all of these. Now, obviously, since the background is a real physical model, there's not much variety to the scenes here. It's always just the same background with the ghosts moving in different patterns. And it's probably more fun with a second player because it has this whole competitive element between stages, telling you which of the players is doing better. You know, I can't play it like that myself here because I'm here with a mouse on a PC and nobody else. Imagine if you set up a gun, you could potentially do it that way. But as I say, it uses analog joysticks, not a real gun, but most of the recent solutions are fine with that too. So yes, an underwater spooky blaster. Maybe it wasn't as popular either because, you know, you don't tend to think of underwater as necessarily a spooky Halloween theme. I mean, obviously things like Jaws, yeah, that's a horror movie, but again, not maybe a Halloween horror movie. So I can see maybe why the first game had more appeal. I didn't meet the criteria. So yeah, you have to get a number of points on each level, or you fail, and it's game over. So yeah, I might give this one more try. So I'm not Zip, I'm HZE. I wonder why 3-letter names were decided on. A lot of Japanese games had longer names, but over here it tended to be 3 letters. Maybe minimising the chance of you putting anything rude in? I really don't know. It's one of those things I've often wondered. So yes. So yeah, 40 points for the next scene on this one. These early scenes aren't too difficult. I better not fail after I've said that. Yeah, so there we go. Target reached, plenty of time left. Again, I'd say this was one of those that could be good fun for the whole family, really. It's spooky without being scary. Unless you're scared of, like, ghost pilots. Ghost pilots? Ghost pirates. Zip's ahead. No, Zip isn't ahead. So, again, second round. Once you learn the patterns, you'll obviously do better. Know where everything's coming from in advance. I've not played this one properly myself, beyond testing it, so I'm unfamiliar, and this is just a test of reactions, which, if we're fair, you can't play many of these shooters on reactions alone. You have to have some idea where things are going to come from. Unlike many later games, a bit like this, I think this one is completely skill-based. It's not, you know, rigged like a lot of the ticket machines. You've not got things that are going to move out the way of your shots. It's a fair game that, you know, plays like a proper light gun shooter. So yeah, so these first levels are relatively easy. But yeah, the bonus character is clearly the one you want to be going for the most points, I'd imagine. If you see that bonus character, I think that's that in there, yeah. See, that's 4 points, which is probably the secret to clearing the stages effectively. These are fast ones. That's another 4-pointer. Now, there's no reloading or anything fancy on this. So, again, it's quite simplified in the mechanics. You've got to worry about that. You can, as soon as you see something, you can aim at it and shoot. Yeah, nice bassy sound as well when the ship rattles. I guess that would work really well with the actual physical movement of it. Now, the one thing with this is there is one less element that moves compared to Golly Ghost. There's one of the outputs that connects to an element on Golly Ghost that on this game goes nowhere. In terms of the emulation, the underlying code to handle this is still really, really messy. I don't know if there's another undumped MC or something like that that's meant to handle the movement, but MAME does kind of pluck out the positions from shared RAM rather than emulating it properly. I think I missed the special thing there because it said bye-bye. But yeah, it's functional, but there's definitely underlying improvements that could be made. However, that would probably require extensive research with the board, and possibly finding a way to dump an internal ROM if there is another ROM that needs dumping. I'm not sure. I can't remember now. I knew about 6 months to a year ago what the case was, but I have since forgotten. It's about where we got to last time, isn't it? I think scene 5 is maybe where... Ooh, that... just. So this one's worth 5, the red one. Yeah, there's a lot going on. So that was the final scene. I'm pretty sure I didn't get a very good score on the final scene. Yeah, no, didn't make the final scene. So your points add up over the course of the game. So I guess if you score higher in the earlier rounds, it will make the final round easier. But yeah, there's not that much scoring opportunity there, it seems. Well, there you go. That's all the rounds. So there. Now, Zip and Zap. Don't play the Zip and Zap game in MAME. That is horrific in a different way. Anyway, Bubble Trouble, Golly Ghost 2. One of Namco's more interesting games with the whole physical background. And it works very, very well in MAME. So I'm always glad to see things like that running. Right. Next game. Next game is... I'm going to say more Greek mythology than Halloween, but it has an excellent intro scene, which I'm going to skip straight to with a save state. So this is Pandora's Palace by Konami or Interlogic. Here we go. And that alone qualifies it for my Halloween list. A nice laughing skull. The game itself, yeah, it's still got plenty of skulls in it, so I shall coin it up. I'll coin it up. I mean, that was the best part of the attraction anyway. Look at all the skulls. How does it play? It's basically upside down Donkey Kong. You have to go down the pillars. You can jump on the skulls, I believe. See. Down the skulls, down the pillars, and to the bottom. But yeah, very, very Donkey Kong, isn't it? Don't fall either, because you will die. I think you can make that jump if you're careful, but I wasn't careful. No hammer, but you do have these berries. And yeah, if you're in powered up state and you walk into them, there's some pushback, but you don't die. But yeah, instead we can go down here. It seems you don't die anyway. I don't know. There we go. The door gets me out of there. So... Oop. That's a bit mean. I think I took 4 damage because I jumped on the this when it was falling. There we go. Well, that was clever. We'll do quick name entry. There we go. 4th. I'm going to play another game of this because I didn't do very well there, did I? But yeah, say it's maybe one of the least Halloween-y games on here, but again, I was looking for things with skulls and things I hadn't played before, or much before. I don't remember ever streaming this one when I was doing the live streams, so it was one I wanted to play today. Again, I think this is one of those Konami games that nobody really talks about. I don't know if this was an arcade exclusive. The previous 2 games definitely were, well, to the best of my knowledge. I don't think you're ever going to get a home version of Bubble Trouble. Just wouldn't work, would it? You'd have to sell you a doll's house or an underwater... well, a fish tank. Ooh, where am I going? These springy platforms are, yeah. Oh, that'll do. I do like how they move. They feel like springs. And there we've got our big scully friend back. Oh, and a lightning bolt. No, I guess I meant to crush these, am I? Yeah. We want to do the ones at the top first, though. Got pushed off. Bonus round, though, so it'll be perfectly okay. Oh, no skulls this time. But, you know, that doesn't mean I'm going to stop playing it just because the skulls have gone. But I think this is one of the more creative Donkey Kong influenced games. I mean, you can't deny the influence, but at the same time it doesn't feel like it's just Donkey Kong. It feels like its own game too. And that's not just because they've flipped it upside down. The style, the music, the general nature of the elements that are found in the levels are all different. I mean, you don't have these pushback enemies in Donkey Kong. You don't really have platforms that move like this in Donkey Kong. Plus the pace is a lot faster. Donkey Kong, you move really slowly. But apparently I do like fire. Oh, we get some skulls again. When I restart the game, because I'm pretty sure this predates continue features. Yeah, no continue feature. I say predates continue features, it's just not the type of game where you have a continue feature. Doesn't really need one. Let's go. Now, when I say games didn't get ported, I don't really mean modern ports or direct emulation ports. I mean, you know, ones that were different enough to stand out. But But I definitely don't remember seeing this one. But I'm not aware of every port to every system. Especially not, say, Nintendo consoles and things like that. Or some of the Japanese computers. Oh. A frog. I got distracted by a frog. I fell to my doom. Anyway, so maybe not that Halloween-y, but these good old skulls here. Let's let this attract mode run anyway and get back to our favourite little part that I started off with. But I didn't even know about the skull in the attract mode until I was testing this one a little bit earlier, just to see how suitable it was in terms of content. But again, I'd say this one was another game that would be family friendly, a little bit tricky maybe. But there's nothing here in the content that would be unsuitable for a younger audience. You know, if you've got kids that like Donkey Kong style games for some reason, then I recommend letting them have a look at this one. And if there are any ports, let me know in the comments. And I may give them a look on another video or stream at some point, because I still need to do that. I still need to have a video about ports of obscure ports and things like that. We saw with that recent BMX Stunts dump that had a C64 version, and so comparing that type of thing side by side is kind of like what I like to do. Anyway, here is Scully, Cracked Scully. There you go. So Pandora's Palace by Konami. I did just get distracted by a frog, didn't I? So yeah, let's go with that one. This again is maybe not the most Halloween-y of games, but it does have creepy crawlies. This is Frog and Spiders by Taito. And I say anything that's got these cobwebs and spiders, it's always going to be a bit Halloween-y. If you're decorating for Halloween, you're going to be putting cobwebs up rather than, you know, dusting them off. And maybe frogs not so much, but it's got the spiders and they swing around. It's got these spooky trees, so I think this one does have a bit of a Halloween look. So yeah, you control the frog at the bottom, and it's a kind of mix of different games. It feels a bit Galaxian-like, especially with these creatures diving around in almost Galaxian-like patterns. But then you've got these spiders swinging. You can also leap, which doesn't help in that case. And a snake. Now, I've done pretty badly here, so this credit's not going to last very long. It's a little limited on the audio design, unless there's some missing music, I don't know. You can jump over the snake, there you go. But again, this is a very rare game. And I mean, the PCB it was dumped from looked like a bootleg PCB, so it's very difficult to know how many of these were about and how many people played them, or find any reference to know if the emulation is 100%. Now, there's a spider in the middle here, but I think, again, for the most part, you've just got to clear out the other spiders to finish the levels. Oh, I lost points shooting that. Don't shoot certain things, they cost you points. Yes, I'm not the biggest fan of spiders. I'm not going to run a mile if I see one, but they make people uneasy. And this whole game kind of has that feeling. Even say the sound design doesn't have much going on in terms of music, but there's a lot of very unnerving sounds. It's that whole sound there, very bassy, very. So I think the idea is this game is a bit creepy. It's maybe not the creepiest spider game, but I think Sigma Spiders maybe wins there. But that one might be on another list. There we go. That's the second round cleared, and then we get this one where you restrict the lily pad, so you have to use your jump button to move between the pads, which adds an extra bit of challenge. It's probably my last life, isn't it? Yep, that was my last life. So let's give this one another go, because we didn't get very far, but I can't imagine there are many screens to it. Also, the way it draws in the spiderweb like that, you know, it just works. It gives it that slight extra element of creepiness rather than it just being there, be it drawn out. And these spiders, I'm doing worse this time than the first time. Spiders drop on you. The way they swing. Yeah, you shoot the that, you get those out. So you don't want those chasing you around. You also have to be careful where you shoot. You're vulnerable when you jump, so you don't want to be jumping into things or into bullets. It's not like a dodge roll. It's still. Well, didn't clear the first round that time. So. Now, I don't want to spend too long on many of these games, because otherwise this video will be a lot longer than I intended it to be. So I'll give this one, probably call this the last credit, depending on how far I get. Now you're probably asking why I haven't just done this as a live stream, and that's a very good question. And I'm not even sure myself. I guess in part it's because the live stream setup isn't currently all verified to be working, and there might be things I need to update all over the place still. So, but now just recording a video is a bit easier. But, say, you might see more streams in the future. You might also be wondering why these spooky videos are after Halloween, and well, that's just my fault for not finishing them. Oh well, apparently I didn't get very far at all. So, if you want to see that played better, look at the earlier run I just did before that terrible credit or two. But Frog and Spiders, a rare Taito game, which, yeah, is kind of creepy because it's got spiders and unnerving sounds, and, well, Frog's not so creepy, but yeah, I would recommend playing this one. Okay, now it's insulting me. I didn't even get a high score. I was a long way off the high score. But there we go. Frog and Spiders, which contains frogs and spiders. I would have called it Spiders and Frogs myself, but wasn't down to me. Right, where are we going to go next? Ooh. This one is a bit of a pain to play because the control system is not that friendly, but I think it fits. This is Inferno by Williams. And again, if we're talking Williams games, this is not one anybody talks about. I have turned the gamma up on this. I'm using gamma 1.5 from the command line, because otherwise it's a really, really dark looking game. But yeah, Williams, everybody would talk about, you know, Defender and things like that and Robotron, but they had Inferno, which is a dual stick game. It's dual stick plus a button, in fact, so not quite as straightforward as Robotron in terms of controls. But here we go. There is your blood dripping, and say appropriately creepy looking creature. Not sure quite what it's meant to be. But yeah, this one has slight prototype vibes. It was a released game as far as I know, but yeah, they're gargoyle things, aren't they? And then you've got your almost... Well, it says you're a born hero. You're fighting the evil world of the lizards. But you've been given sort of zapper guns. And yeah, so you walk in one direction, you can fire in another, but you don't automatically fire when you press the direction. Again, it's got the ability to shoot the other player, a bit like a Wizard of War. So it says you don't lose a life if you get shot, but right. So again, it could maybe do with more attract sounds. It's a bit quiet. It's not going to make you look at the cabinet when it's in silence, unless there's an attract sound setting that's turned off. There we go. That's the Cyclops. You see, it looks appropriately creepy, doesn't it? Look at the glows on the bottom of the platform, and yeah, the shadow creatures. Or yeah, apparently they're the souls. There we go. Oh, and it's got some sexy flight apparently. Yeah, that's just a tank. It tells you how to destroy the different enemy types. I guess you really have to pay attention to this if you want to get anywhere. And I've not been paying attention. So yeah, teleporter things. A bit cubity that, and the isometric perspective and everything like that is kind of cube. But I'm wondering if the cabinet of this would have had angled joysticks, because that is one of the main problems trying to play this one. Is it does not... Well, it wants up, down, left, right to be angled movement. So you have to try and hold your controller at an angle or remember which one's up and down. And you really want the angled joysticks like Qubit. So I'm assuming this cabinet would be a pair of angled joysticks. Maybe one with a fire button on. I've never seen a cab, so I don't know. Anyway, let's coin it up. Oh, it's a bit loud. But I'm going to actually play this one using a pad, because it's so the joystick is... So yeah, you shoot them and then you get the souls. So the black outlines are the souls, and you have to get them, I think, before they go into the mouth at the top. Yeah, again, controlling it is not the easiest. Aim on one stick, movement on another. But this one I'm probably not going to play for too long, because there is an element of frustration. Yeah, in this case, having the higher ground is not really an advantage. You can't shoot below you can only shoot above. I got shot. Yeah, you have to be aware. And any creatures that go into the mouth will respawn. Hopefully you can hear me over this, because this game is significantly louder. Still, very, very Williams-like sound effects. With a bit. I did not wish to have a name. Prepare to defend myself. So I don't know what happens if you follow them into the mouth. to them, but yeah, controlling it. Again, so you can't shoot lower ground, so standing up here is no good. No, go that way. Too late. Now, I think every time they respawn, they get more powerful because they change colour. I don't know if there's a scoring advantage to letting them change. Yes, trying to find a suitable angle to hold the controller so that I'm not just walking in the wrong direction all the time. Trickier than it might sound. Okay, this is why I'm almost certain this should be played with angled joysticks. Inferno. It's not the first type of game that would come to mind if somebody says Inferno to me. I would think of burning buildings, not creepy maze game. So maybe that didn't help with the popularity of this one. Obviously, you got things like Dante's Inferno, which may be what they were going for here. Why do I have a name and initials? The Eternal Heroes. So yeah, Inferno. I don't really think I want to play too much more of that one because, say, it's one that's really annoying to control. I think if you had the right controller set up or found a way to make it more comfortable, maybe just mapping it so that the diagonals move you diagonally, which is a bit messy to do, but you can do it with combinations of different input types in MAME, it might be more playable, but trying to play it on a regular pad, even if you hold the pad at an angle, it doesn't feel quite right, which is a shame because I like the premise of this one. I like what they've done. I think it could be a good fun game if you get the controls right. Maybe this one's slightly less family friendly than the others, and again I'm going to assume this was arcade only. I don't recall any ports of it to anything. Seems to be one that's almost forgotten, but say, kind of creepy. Got lots of ghoulish things and blood, and yeah, so have a look if you want another spooky Halloween game. So where we go next? Right, I'm going to go with one that's a bit cuter. Right, this one, what's the set name called? Hold on. There we go. Sorry, get the set names all mixed up. Mystic Riders from IREM. Now, quite a few shooters. I talked about Death Smiles being a spooky shooter, and obviously you've got the Cotton series, Cotton 2, Cotton Boomerang in the arcades, although the latter don't run very well in MAME at the moment because the Saturn emulation is so slow. But here we have another one where we've got witchy creatures on broomsticks, and this one is Mystic Riders. And it's from IREM, so you would have thought a lot of people would know about this. A lot of people play this because IREM did quite a few popular games. You've got like the R-Type series is from IREM, and a bunch of other shooters. But this one doesn't seem to get mentioned as much, and I don't know why. We start in Midnight Town. Look, it's a little bit loud, so I'm going to run. Now you've got this broom mechanic where you can press the button and your broom will fly off in the opposite direction to your movement. So That is how you attack some enemies. You can just throw the broom at them. There's a little black cat as well. You see, it's cute, but also it still feels like an IREM game. You've got your charge shots like R-Type, and even the broom thing feels a bit like the pod. Obviously, it's not quite the same, and it's a different team at IREM, but not the same developers. Also, you can, if you do a little shake, you gain temporary immunity, and they can attack things that way, I believe. I don't think the secret is just to continually do that, but yeah, shake of the joystick gives you this extra attack, so there's depth here to the mechanics and how you play it. Little down, like that. Throw your broom, use your charge shot. Now, obviously, I'm not very good at most shooters. It doesn't stop me enjoying them. This one, I think it deserves to be played a bit more. I don't know why it seems to have been forgotten, because games like Cotton, you've seen loads and loads of new releases from that series, reboots and new games. I've got a couple of them for the Switch. So there's Cotton Reboot, isn't it, and Cotton Fantasy. And then, of course, some of the older Saturn ones were released as in the Cotton Tribute Pack. And I think Panorama Cotton even got a release, so... The Cotton series is alive and well, but this series, even on the recent sort of IREM stuff, I've not seen it mentioned. So I don't know if this is one of those games that's in limbo, or if I just missed ports at some point. It's a decent game. And you see, I'm using the broom attack behind me, so I don't have to get too close to this thing. And you can't shoot backwards, so sometimes that is your option. So obviously in something like Death Smiles, you've got shooting in both directions because you can turn around. Here, if something's behind you, your broom attack is really your only option. With stage 2, the outskirts, yeah, it's more. I'd say this is more of a cute and it's definitely not a horror-themed game. It's got all these magical elements, and again, if you're talking family-friendly, here's another very family-friendly game to play around the Halloween season. I think that's one of the things I was looking for, was sort of more family-friendly games. It's alright having all these recommendations for games that are actually quite creepy, or, you know, have far too much blood in them, or far too much violence. I mean, you know, not everybody's going to want to be playing a Splatterhouse with their kids. But something like this, it works well, and so it supports the second player. Maybe a little tricky. It's not the most difficult shooter, but obviously all shooters require some level of skill. It would be nice to see if this gets some sequels. Let's continue. So, continuing place, no checkpoints. But yeah, and it just has that really awkward mechanic. I've not mentioned this, but you can land on some platforms, and then you can shoot in the other direction. That does feel really out of place. I don't really know why they've done that, because you can't face that direction any other time. And if you take off, even if you're facing that direction, you'll instantly turn back around. But they can walk that way on the floor, but you can't face that way in the air. As soon as you take off, you flip again. That does feel like a slight weakness in the design. I'm not sure why they left that walking mechanic in, at least not unless they were going to let you fly in a different direction at one point. Here we go, the rock monster. So the rocks are its defense, and then you have to get the grip. There we go. Not the most efficient way. Kind of reminds me of some of the enemies in Dynamite Ducks. So again, we're not going to spend too long on this, because it's not the most Halloween game, but it's got just enough there with the whole witchy characters and broomsticks to count. Oh, you see that whole walking thing again? Odd. Very odd. One of those games where I half expect to find a prototype where you can fire in that direction. Let's just clear out the continue, enter my MAME. Slip onto it again. So yeah, Mystic Riders from IREM. Definitely a game to play over Halloween with the family, maybe. So, got that magical feel to it, hasn't it? Where next? Where next? Where next? I think we're going to go with some more creepy crawlies. This one's very B-movie-like. This one is Exterminator from Gottlieb, Premier Technology. Now, this one did get home ports, and in fact, I think was quite heavily promoted on the home systems at the time. But there's definitely something about a game where you control disembodied hands with bugs all over the place that you're crushing that feels quite seasonal. I mean, it feels like, say, a B-movie, especially with this bad CGI of driving to the neighbourhood. The fonts, there's a floor plan there. It definitely feels a bit creepy. Let's just tell you how to play it. You can only fire when you're on the left hand or right hand, depending on the player's side of the screen. Otherwise, you're moving around and grabbing things and trying to crush them with bare hands. And stop. You have to make a line of things on the floor by crushing. And so you wave the bee away, wasp away. There we go. Crush that bug, crush that bug. There are a few fair secrets, but it's got a dial control as well for the aim on the side, so it's one of those that don't grab the wasp. So it's one of those that the controls aren't as simple as they look. I've seen this in multi-cabinets with no accommodation for the dial, which basically makes it unplayable at times, because you can't really play it without the shooting mechanic. Especially not when there's a bonus round that requires you to shoot things. If we get this can... Oh, missed it. You have to be quite precise. There we go. No, I grabbed the wasp. And did it with a throbbing hand. To the garage. Can't shake away mosquitoes. The aiming is a little imprecise anyway. Squash this ball. There we go. I think it should be a little more forgiving on this one. No, you can only pound from high up. Well, not, you can't pound from ground level. You can pound from the middle of the screen. Now, again, I would put this one more under creepy than scary. And there are a few games like that that are considered for the list. Snacks and Jackson, the one where you're bouncing a clown nose, is also really quite creepy. This reminds me a lot of that game. I think it's the perspective of the screen. You're always staring straight down into a room. Now this gets tricky because, yeah, the tanks actually start to shoot at you. Definitely a very army theme to the music there. Definitely not stolen from anywhere, is it? So yeah, the tanks come down here, and then you do have to be quite good at pounding them because they will get you very quick. Okay. Yeah, I've lost a life. And you are quite a big target, so you know, if you don't get the tanks quick enough, they will get you. There we go. So I do like to clear that room as quickly as possible because it's tricky. So this is where you have to really shoot things, though. Rat shooting. But yeah, this is one of those games that I remember being on the home system that had an Amstrad CPC port, at least, and I remember it being quite heavily promoted at the time, but it also seems to be forgotten. And if you talk about arcade games, nobody really mentions it. I don't know, I think it's a perfectly good fun game that, again, is nice and creepy for this time of year. Maybe doesn't have the most content, maybe isn't the best looking, I don't know. More tanks. And these pre-rendered graphics might not hold up as well as some of the games. And these tanks might be really, really unfair. Crystal. Nope. Well, I completed the level, but didn't really want to grab the wasp, did I? Now to the attic. Squirt. I think collisions in this game could have been better. Maybe my only real criticism. Though you do have the shadows to guide you. So it's not like you can't judge it, but you do have to look at the bottom of the screen where the shadows are to get a proper idea of if you're above the creatures or they're next to you. So they have considered it. There we go. Get some energy back from the squirt bottle. But it's just a very strange concept with the whole sliding tiles on the floor as well. I did wonder how somebody came up with these ideas. It almost feels like it wanted to be a puzzle game, but then turned into a shooter, grabber, stomper. It's a unique title, that is for sure. Does that make it a good title? I don't know. Complete the line here. There we go. The line is done. Next house. Now I've got some frogs. What is it with frogs in these games? I've been distracted by one and now we've got them hopping towards me. That's how you develop a phobia with frogs. Yeah, you can't get too close to them. Now I think the tanks were more dangerous than the frogs, so I'm a bit surprised by the ordering of things here. Frogs, it's just a case of stay away from the bottom, or, you know, you don't know what happens. There we go. Yeah, you can complete the screens fairly quickly if you focus on a single line of tiles. So it seems to always be the same rooms, just with different enemies thrown in. This is very similar to what we had already. Can't shoot the tanks in the floor. So, once this credit is done, we will move on to another game. That's going to be very soon at this rate. I insist on... That's it. That's me done. Oh yeah, Exterminator. Game that really just seems to be overlooked these days, and perfect for the time of year. Very odd. Nice scoring through. I guess because it's usually split between the two players, and that's how they fit it in. But yeah, it does kind of have almost a Leland look to it as well. It's sort of somewhere between Midway and Leland, and I don't know. Oh, we've got a nice little story about the pest controlman as well. Not much of a story. Just going to tell you this is Exterminator. And there we've got the skull as well, because you know. But yes, well presented. Look, see the little bugs crawling across here to introduce the game rules, which you do have to pay attention to, and you've got to save the neighbourhood. It's a very, very B movie, isn't it? Apparently there's the ultimate challenge at the end. I have never got that far. There you go. Extraordinary Exterminators. Apparently I am one of them. I don't know what I exterminated. So, right. Okay. Yeah, you've probably seen me play this next one a few times when I've been doing streams, but The Last Apostle Puppet Show definitely fits the bill for a creepy Halloween type game. I mean, you've got all these dolls that were digitized and put in the game, and I think it's the earliest example of that being done. And yeah, it doesn't play especially well, this one, but just look at it. Look at it and tell me this isn't a game for this time of year. I've lost my head already. So it's not a fighter where up is jump, which you have to remember. Space is jump. This is pre-Street Fighter 2. For any fighting game norms were established. It's also entirely tile-based. The hardware has no sprite, so it's not even the type of game that should be on this hardware. But the way it moves just makes it all that more creepy. Now I have done a complete run of this on a video, not a stream, a video before. Not one credit, just continuing a lot, because there's very tricky to get right. There we go. It's a single player game in the sense that there's no versus mode. If you play it 2-player, it's just one player after each other. But all these dead looking puppets, the decapitations, the general theme of it, this is definitely Halloween to me. I don't know if you'd give this one to kids or not. Maybe decapitated puppets is a bit much. You don't want them, pulling the heads off their dolls. But, I did not do very well. Let's give it another try. Power-ups, I think, sometimes powered down, so you have to be careful about what you pick up. And the whole energy bar system is not really the same as Street Fighter and the likes either, because you can survive on no energy, but you've got to avoid the hits that, say, decapitate you, because that's when you actually lose. I think when you've got no energy is when you're vulnerable to them. So right now, one hit could kill me if it's the killer hit. So, to play more defensively. I usually do like a flying kick to the head or something that will take your head off. There we go, you see? Took her head off. Got a health 0 then. Kick to the head. Now, what we got? The Woods of Evil. We've got this creepy looking thing. And my head's gone. So yeah, I don't think we need to spend too long looking at this one. I say I'll do this credit. But I have played it before, and I think it's fairly well known at this point. Go. You do lose your health really, really quickly. Some moves just take most of it off, and then one more strike and you're done for. See, lost my head very quickly there. Yeah, if you're expecting a game that plays like Street Fighter 2, this is definitely the wrong game to be playing. So if you want a more bloody game like that, look at, say, Kaneko's Blood Warriors, which I won't be featuring on this video, but that does play more like a traditional fighter. This is more know your timing, know when to strike. The King's Mountain. It certainly has a unique look for, I think, 1988 when it was released. There weren't many, if any, other games doing this. I say Home Data are mostly known for their Mahjong games, so even the developer is a surprise. I'm guessing this is not a game that's very likely to get a new release. Could be wrong. It just feels like one of those that's more likely to be lost to time otherwise. And again, I don't think this was ported to anything back in the day. It's one of those that was Arc exclusive. Which again is why they're probably more interesting to see on these videos. As much as I like to look at ports and things like that, the ones that just have been left behind like this are always worth mentioning. I have played it other times. I've played it on stream. I've put videos out, but I don't know who has seen those videos and who has not. We've got a little mosaic effect there. Game over. So, where next? Where next? Where next? Okay, I'm going to go with another one that's got quite a lot of skulls in it. And this one, again, it's probably not really a horror game, but this is Kram from Taito, and this is one that is here, as I say, just for the skulls. Because I think skulls make good Halloween games. And this sort of creepy, confused-looking character. This is apparently called Kram. Now, this is one of those Taito America games, and it says at the bottom of the screen, it's very early, 82. But you're avoiding the deadly skulls. And there will be plenty of deadly skulls. It's also a kind of unique gameplay concept in that you're just drawing these walls to block the skulls while trying to collect everything else. So, yeah, again, there's a certain creepy visual style to it. You know, you get caught like that and you turn into as a skeleton. You weren't going to get necessarily the most creepy games at this point in history, but this is one of them. So, yeah. I'm just going to turn the volume down a bit. So you've got to get these the numbers, which at the side, the skulls that are currently trapped within the walls there. So on the first stage, they're not much of a threat, even though I just got hit by one of them. But you can draw the wall, so I can go like this, and suddenly I've drawn a wall, and the skulls don't have anywhere to go. So, again, very, very different. You can also blow holes in the walls. But it's a case of sort of trying to contain the skulls, keep them out your way, and collect the things you do need to collect. And not do that. These aren't even the difficult stages. Now, I think maybe they should have gone with a more obvious horror theme. The fonts and things like that are almost sci-fi. The theme is a bit confused. So I don't know quite what they were going for. Only the skulls kill you. The ones with the sort of pickaxes don't. They just destroy your walls. I'm not even sure what genre you'd put this in, because it's one of those maze games where really you're making the maze. There are a few like that. If you think of something like Checkman, you're basically making the maze in that as you go. So unfortunately Checkman doesn't have skulls in it. You can move diagonally through the walls as well. That is some... Oh, I thought I got that. That's something to keep in mind. Let's give this one another go. Yes, Kram. I don't think the point values change based on time. They do change as you collect other ones, I'm not sure. So every time I collect one, they go up in value. Do they go down in value again? Yeah, you can very much tell this is one of those Taito America designs. They're so different to the Japanese Taito. Yeah, flashing red screens are another thing that sort of made me feel this was eligible for a Halloweeny spooky lists, because it's that horror thing, isn't it? If you're flashing red, it's It's like, it's what you see in a horror movie. Can't explain it. It's that flash of blood. Somebody's died, even though they didn't want to show you them dying. Even though in this case it's just clearing the level. Too close. No, so I don't think this game evolves too much, although I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just not good enough at it to have seen more content. But I think it's a fairly simple game that just gets more difficult as it goes, rather than introduces too many new elements. But yeah, I think another one that is quite spooky. Say it's got all those flashy red bits. Okay, flashing screens probably are considered a negative these days, and flashing red screens can be annoying in other games. Zero Wing comes to mind, but here it's between levels, and it just sort of creates the mood, doesn't it? It does make it feel like you're playing some sort of horror-themed game without the explicit gore or anything other than these skulls, really. You know, that thing's called the Ripper. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. So what have we got left? I think we've only got one game left. So I always forget if it's a vertical game or a horizontal. Is it? I'm sure last time I played this, I made the same mistake. I think I changed it to. Yeah, no, it's yeah, it's a vertical game. This is Asylum, a prototype from Leland. And the controls can be set to. Okay, this set.
Drop your coin and join the Asylum.
So yeah, any game set in an asylum with creepy laughs is going to be a good one for, you know, Halloween. And I think this being an unreleased game, and hence also a game that didn't get ported to anything like so many of these, is one that tends to get overlooked. It's a very strange game. So you've got magic toilets, as it's showing you there. But yes, we just in a coin and get an appropriately creepy laugh. Now this game is absolute nonsense in terms of game design. It's probably one of the worst, where you will just die for things that never feel your own fault. It does feel more like a home computer game. There we go, snakes. Zombies. Sluggish controls. Lots of traps that you can't possibly predict until you've fallen into them. My movement is now super slow because whatever I'm walking on makes me slow. Oh, I see some spikes just there. Because why not? But yeah, it's very creepy. I mean, again, disembodied hands.
That toilet's way uncool.
And apparently the toilet's really uncool. Or way uncool.
That toilet's way...
The music is super creepy. I mean, they've got the whole creepy vibe down to a T. But you can see why the game didn't get released if you've ever tried to play it. It's a mess. No, just avoid it. So kill more of these things. And and step onto the elevator, and then you get these silly elevator scenes. Push against the sides. But you can see the rope's about to break. And you can try and avoid the things on the side, but if you hit one, the dynamite, then the lip explodes. And there we go, we're down here now. So I think this is probably the least family friendly of the games I've looked at. It's yeah, it's quite gruesome in places. People on torture chambers. I'd actually put this up there with the Chiller.
Oh, great!
No, dead. It kind of wants to be Gauntlet, but it's not Gauntlet. It's just over the top. And we've got this dark section as well, where I think you need a flashlight to see anything. So if you've not got the flashlight now, you don't stand a chance, do you? There we go. Flashlight. This is not an emulation glitch. They legitimately made the game this dark in these sections because they wanted to. And it makes it horrible to play. I think there is, maybe there was a light switch, I can't remember, but you know, you're just going to be losing coins here, not knowing what you're doing at all. Which is not great if you're trying to play a game. You can just about see something still, but yeah. I can't even remember. I've not even got a flashlight now. So the light is still down there. Flashlight back. No, I don't want to leave the room. Because this is where the game design really starts to fall apart. Oh, I walked into a bit of spikes in the dark, and I lost a credit. Wonderful. Please just tell me what's going on. So I don't know. So does anybody want to play Asylum now? I mean, yeah. I'm sure when this was in testing, this is probably where most people got and then thought, no, you know what, I quit, it's too dark, you can't see anything, it's not clear what you're meant to do, it's not giving you any guidance, and yeah, there's a lot more to the game than that, but I've actually forgotten how you get past that part, and how you turn the lights on if you turn the lights on, or anything else, but yeah, it's definitely a Halloween game. It's probably scary for some of the wrong reasons too. But yeah, I think that is the 10 alternate spooky season games I wanted to look at. So we've had, you know, a bit of Pandora's Palace, a bit of Bubble Trouble, Bogey Manor, Last Apostle, Puppet Show, Kram, Mystic Riders, Inferno, Asylum, Frogs and Spiders, and Exterminator. So 10 rather different choices, and I could have easily come up with another 10, and I may well record another video at some point with another 10, but there you go. If you were looking for something different to play around this time of year, even though it's a little bit late now, maybe you can keep them in mind for next year, or just watch this before Halloween next year, you know, bookmark it and go to watch next year. If there's a little bump in the video views then, I don't know why, but yeah, just something to keep in mind, something that you might not be aware of. I may look at the popular ones, but I think everybody knows those, so I kind of hope this one was educational and you found a few games you might not have been aware of, or might want to consider looking at if you looked at them before and didn't think much of them, or forgotten about them. But yeah, anyway, I will catch you on the next video. Take care, and thank you for watching.